God, it's cold out here. I was in Vegas like 3 months ago, or no, only 2 months ago, and I was like hiding in the shade while I was making my videos because it was so hot. But now it's like the warmest part of the day, and I'm in the shade and I'm like freezing. So it's amazing how much things can change in 2 months, but I guess that's what I get from being down here in December. All right, anyway, moving on to the actual video. As you guys may have guessed from the title, this is my initial review of the Totem Cams. And I say initial because I just got these things like a little bit ago, and normally when I review stuff I want to use it in as many applications as possible. And so the only thing I haven't done with these guys yet is really aid climb on them, which is funny because they're like really known for aid climbing. So after I get a chance to like take these out on a big wall or something, then I'll make a follow-up review. But it's like December, right? So this is kind of the last time I'll be rock climbing for the next couple of months. And so I just wanted to make a quick video talking about my initial experiences with these guys. But before I do that, I want to talk about how I actually got these things. Totem Cams are very famous, or I guess I should say infamous, for being expensive cams. Each cam is about $90, and you have 7 of them to make a full set. And so, yeah, that's a big hurdle, and that's the reason why it's taken me so long to actually get around to actually buying these things, is the initial expense of them. But I wanted to plug a little store that my friend Sandeep is the new owner of, Ascent Outdoors in Seattle. Those of you who are in Seattle or the greater Pacific Northwest area will know this store. And essentially they have this nice or really cool program where you bring in a bunch of old gear and then you can give it to them, they'll resell it, and then you'll get some amount of store credit. I don't exactly know like their percentages, and it does vary on like the quality of your gear, but I brought in a ton of stuff that I don't use anymore in a big garbage bag, a couple backpacks, a lot of clothes, you know. And I got like a pretty good store credit, which I then used to buy a set of totems. So I essentially got these things for free. The store didn't ask me to say that or anything on these videos. I just wanted to plug them because they have a good thing going there. They offer a lot of equipment from skiing to mountain climbing to alpine climbing to rock climbing like these. So definitely go check them out if you're in the Seattle area, and then help support a smaller business. Getting back to actually reviewing these things. So the Totem Cams have been around for a while now. A number of people really like them for any number of reasons. One cool thing is that they are extraordinarily flexible. Look at that, you see that? And then they pop right out too. They're also fairly rigid. But to have a cam of this size with this amount of flexibility is kind of rare. And so that's a really cool part about them. Another interesting factor is the design. So essentially you have like 2 main stems, but each stem is made out of 2 parts. So it's kind of each stem is connected to one lobe up here, which makes each lobe a bit more independent of each other than in a more traditional style cam. You also have this sort of neat webbing system right here. This is the usual place you can clip into, but if you want to, you're perfectly fine to clip in there if you want to make them a bit shorter. Helps with aid climbing when you're trying to get every inch you can. Another thing that's really cool about these that I haven't tried yet, because I haven't brought these out aid climbing, is they're a lot more stable on 2 lobes. And so you can clip in right here and then aid climb off of this piece, which is really great in pin scars and other, you know, aid climbing whatnot. Like I said before, it's about $90 per cam, and I can tell you that the smaller sizes are a bit more popular than the bigger sizes. I had the biggest one right there, which is an orange. The smallest one is a black Totem Cam, which is the only one I actually don't own. So I'm working on getting one of those to add to my collection, but I've actually used the black and the blue Totem Cam before in actual aid climbing, and I can say that they work very well. They're nice cams to have on your rack, especially those 2 smaller ones. So when I'm reviewing these cams, I'm going to talk to them about like some more standard cams that people use. And so obviously the BD cams are my go-to cams for just about anything. They're my baseline cam. Here I have 2 ultralights, but it's the same whatever. And these cams roughly line up with that same size. It's kind of hard to exactly compare the 2, but they roughly line up with the same size as that. So I'll be comparing these cams to the Black Diamond C4 cams. All right, so I had to put on a second jacket because I'm just freezing. This is the second video I'm making in this area, and there's a little breeze going on, so I'm starting to get pretty cold. All right, so side-by-side comparison of these guys to our baseline cams. Let's talk about the sizing and colors, because while they do line up in some cams, other cams are different. These totems kind of follow a mixture of the BD and alien sizes. But starting off with our biggest cam, our biggest totem is a number 2, and then that's actually colored orange. What I did is on all these, I just grabbed a different, neutrino, or no, that's the Oz carabiner. So I just grabbed that in that color, so that way I know what size it roughly lines up to the cams I'm used to using. That's kind of my solve. Yeah, there is no number 3 totem cam, and so you will have to bring like one of the bigger guys with you. But really where the totem cams shine is in the more finger sizes and lower. So I can understand why they wouldn't make a number 3, as well as just the design too. Since it's a single axle design, the bigger the lobes are with a single axle, the smaller the range gets, and as well as like the heavier the cam, and it just doesn't work out the same as like the dual axle cams like the C4s. Moving on, here's where here's where the colors kind of line up. Number 1 BD cam is the same as a red totem, and so that's kind of nice how they line up. Stuck a red carabiner on there. Another one that lines up, the .75 with the green totem, line up there. .5 and the purple totem, yep, those line up too. And then here's where they changed it for whatever reason. .4 BD is a yellow totem. That's where they roughly line up. Anytime I'm comparing these things, I just put the lobes together and like contract them and see if it's basically the same size. So this is kind of like your standard finger lock size. Again, I just put a little gray carabiner so that way I could easily tell the difference. Doesn't take too long to wrap your mind around this stuff. And then these ones match up again. Blue totem with the .3. So, happy days. So there's only a few cams that really don't match up, as well as the black one would be .2 size. And so that's also, I guess that's black versus yellow, so that's a different color. Yeah, so that's where all of the cams line up with our controlled set of cams. All the lobes are pretty much the same size. I've used these totem cams in granite and sandstone here in the desert now, is mainly where I've been testing them. And I gotta say that they're really nice cams. I really like placing them on the different rocks and stuff. Actually, I think I even used a couple of these at Smith. On our way driving down here, we stopped by Smith Rock, so I got to try out the totems on that rock. One thing I do hear these guys are good at is limestone rock, which limestone can be a little weird. It's kind of porous, it's easy for cams to pop out here and there. And so these cams being built the way they are, they're supposed to be a little bit better on that sort of rock, but I'll wait until I actually end up. Who trad climbs on limestone anyway? It's like always bolted. So yeah, I've used these on a number of climbs now. I'm really enjoying them. My friend that I've been climbing with, he kind of doesn't like them as much, but that's fine, to each their own. I don't think I'm going to go out and sell all my other cams and only buy totems. Like, I'm fine with just having a single rack of totems and treating them as specialty cams. So if I'm going out on a big wall, generally every big wall you need a triple rack of like, say, 0.3 to 2 or so. And so maybe I'll have a double rack of my C4s, 0.3 to 2, and then bring my rack of totems. Because again, this is like, aid climbing is really their big thing, with being able to fit in different pin scars and being stuck in weird flares and stuff, and having a bit more geometry, like a bit more metal on the rock, kind of helps in all those weird placements, as well as the different like places you can clip the stem to. Makes them pretty versatile, but it also makes them pretty specialized. If you're getting into trad climbing, then I would not recommend getting these cams, a rack of these cams yet. This is sort of like after you have enough experience trad climbing, you want to move on to either harder projects or bigger objectives or whatever. But probably want to go with like getting a set of C4s or Metolius set of cams, something a bit more commonly used than these guys. Learn how to trad climb on those pieces, and then when you sort of have an idea of where you would want to use certain gear here or there, that's when you can get your more specialty items. I definitely would probably hold off getting these until you start aid climbing, Or maybe after, you know, like you get like a set of aliens after your original set, then these ones come in handy because aliens kind of complement these guys a bit. One thing I do want to say is these totems have a slightly smaller range. Here you can see a number 2 and a pretty good placement in this crack right here. If I stick a number 2 totem in there, it's just a bit more flared out than the lobes on the number 2 you can see. However, it's sort of like the design of the lobes. You can see they're still in pretty good contact with the rock, but it may just seem like these things are a bit more flared out than the C4s when you first get them. They definitely don't work in places where you would want an offset cam. So if you're at a 0.75, 0.5 placement, you're gonna want the offset cam more than just this 0.5 and placing it super flared out or using the green totem to make it super tight in the crack. You're better off just using offsets. These do not replace offset cams. So guys, thanks for watching my video. Again, I will have an updated review as soon as I get these guys out on a big wall or doing some more aid climbing. I want to thank everyone that's been supporting me lately, all my patrons, and everyone on YouTube. Thanks so much for just helping me keep this channel going. And although they weren't directly responsible for getting me this gear, they still have, like, I'm still trying to put all your money to use and putting it right back in the channel, getting more equipment for reviews or going more places for cool adventure type videos. I want to thank you guys a whole lot. It means a lot to me. That's about all I have to say for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, I was just wrapping up my Totem Cam video when I realized I forgot to mention something, which is the weight of the cams. When you compare them to the original C4 cams, they weigh less, and so that used to be a big selling point, as they were pretty light. But then when you compare them to the ultralight cams, they probably weigh about as much or just maybe a hair more. And so that isn't as much of an argument anymore. But if you have a bunch of C4 cams and you want to lighten up your rack by substituting out some other cams, then the Totem Cams do weigh less than the original C4 cams. And they probably weigh less than the newer C4s as well, just like a little bit more. But that's not as much. It's more of a use and the right tool for the right job thing, other than lightening up your rack nowadays. You guys like that pink carabiner? I think I should do a review on just these pink carabiners. They're awesome because they're colored pink.